Greetings YouTube, this is Justin from Kinsley Custom Guitars, and today I thought we could take a look at how to convert a regular 2-button foot switch into something that will work with Boss effects pedals that accept control input through a TRS jack. Normally when you have a Boss pedal, regular old off-the-shelf 2-button, 1-button switches like this one or this one here even, they don't work with a Boss pedal, and that is because the switches in these for this control circuit are normally open, and almost all effects pedals with a control circuit expect a normally open switch, and when you press the switch it closes the circuit and allows the signal to pass through. Boss uses the opposite control scheme. Their switches are normally closed, so the switches are looking for the interruption when in the circuit when you press the button, rather than the completion of the circuit when you press the button. So today I figured I would go through and show you how I'm going to adapt this rock stock pedal with normally open switches into something with normally closed switches, so that I can control my Boss SY200. And I figured I'd share this process with you to share it with you, so anybody else out there who is having this sort of issue like I was can get this figured out and remedied without having to spend the insane amount of money that Boss wants for their foot switches. So to start, you'll need to take the 4 screws out of the pedal. I've already done that, they're off to the side over here. And we can open it up and we'll see the 2 switches in here and the TRS jack. With for this pedal specifically, a 9/16 wrench, go ahead and loosen up the nuts on here. All right, then we'll just go ahead and pull these out. All right, so there's our 2 foot switches, and I am going to save these switches. You never know when you might need a new switch in something, or if I might want to build another control circuit for something, so I'm going to keep them. Now, let's get the soldering iron heating up. So looks like they have put heat shrink over the terminal ends, but it's pretty cheap stuff. I just pulled it off. So we're just going to, let me see if I can get a little closer on this. All right, so we're going to pull off this heat shrink on the terminals. It just comes right off, like so. So we're going to take the soldering iron. These aren't even looped through, they're just soldered to the lug. So we're just going to heat up that solder. All right, that's one. That's 2. And the switch is free. I'll set that aside. Do that with the other one. Alright, so these are the new switches. Now the way to test these switches is with your multimeter in ohms. All you have to do is put one contact on one terminal, one contact on the other terminal, and you can see by the multimeter it's not showing that the circuit is closed. But if I hold the switch and repeat it, it slipped. But you could see that there is now a complete circuit. And that doesn't work with Boss pedals, so it has to be the opposite. So with these particular switches, on the right lug, you have a normally closed circuit that opens when the switch is pressed. On the left lug, you have a normally open switch that closes, or that closes the circuit when the switch is pressed. And I'll put the link to these in the description for anyone who wants to try this as well. These were just on Amazon. It was like $6 for 2 of them. So let's get the multimeter out of here. So I'm going to start by verifying fitment. I did do some measurements before I ordered, but it never hurts to double check. Okay. And they do fit, and it looks like they're just barely going to clear. So that's going to work out quite well. So now we need to solder the black wires to the center lug and the red wires to the right lug of these switches. Let me get the other switch. It's right here. All right. So now we need to break out the soldering iron and some solder. Solder. All right. And this is where having extra hands really helps, especially because these wires are so dang short. So it's this one right here. I'm just going to put a mark on both of these so that when I'm sideways and upside down, I can tell which one I need to use. Just a little scratch right in the plastic to indicate the side that I'm actually using. There we go. It's fairly visible. That way I won't get them backwards when the switch is upside down, like this. So let's melt that little bit of solder that's making life difficult. Alright, so we're going to do this in a much more mechanically secure way than Rockstock did from the factory. I have the black wire for the blue switch. We're going to put it through. Where's my needle nose? We're going to bend it over the lug. Create a little hook. That way it stays while we're trying to solder it. And if the solder were to break, there is a much lower likelihood of the circuit opening. All right, that's on there nice and good. And we'll repeat with the blue. I wonder if I can pre-bend it. There we go. That just goes through that lug right there, the right one, if it were upside right. And we just solder that in. All right, those are in. Now that needs to be installed so it's out of the way. Lock washer, the nut. All right. Hold that tight. There we go. There we are. Now these ones do have a fair amount more activation force, like you have to go down to where it clicks, whereas these didn't have a click, but these were the best ones I could find, and you're going to be stepping on it. It's not so much like how easy it is to do with your fingers, but the clicking might annoy some people, and they do make clickless ones. These ones were cheap and they did exactly what I needed them to, so I wasn't too concerned with that. So now we're just going to push this right back up over the terminals. And if they don't fit, it's not a big deal. There's enough clearance in the pedal that it's not going to really cause an issue. Doesn't look like it's going to fit, but there's enough clearance here that I'm not too worried about it. So we are going to repeat what we did on the first side with this one, keeping track of the mark that we made on the pedal. This pre-bending seemed to work pretty well on the other one, so I'm going to do it again here. All right. And black to center. Love the smell of solder in the morning. And red. Oh, almost. This is why we marked. Glad I caught that before I soldered it. Red to the one we marked. All right, and that one's in. And we'll just install this one like we did with the other one. Ooh, those terminals are still a little hot on the bottom there. All right, that's tightened down. Let's test it before we button it up. Zoom back out. The solder out of the way. All right, we got the SY2000. We got our TRS cable. That's going to go in the Control 2-3 expression pedal port. That's going to go right here. All right, and to power this up, just need a lead in there, and that's going to turn it on. We'll let that boot up. And there you go. It's working perfectly. You can even hold the scroll. Sweet. And just to give you a demonstration of what it does when you have a normally open switch, which I'm sure you guys have seen if you're clicking on this video. This is just a normally open control switch that I use with my modded TC Electronic Nova delay pedal. And watch what happens. It just starts scrolling and scrolling and it won't stop. And if you hold it, you can increment it by releasing because it's expecting a normally closed circuit. But when you just let it go, it's just going to keep scrolling because the circuit is open and it's thinking that you have the button pressed down. So that is how you change over any old regular 2-button or single button foot switch to work with a Boss Effects pedal. This has been Justin from Kinsley Custom Guitars, and thank you for watching.